finals race. I'll wait for that to be called just for clarity.
Team, where we go?
As I was saying, Musaeus once lost a race to dying on the Hades fight due to not having enough max HP. And ever since then, he's pushed strongly for people taking max HP, especially in race environments, often ending with 200, 300 max HP. Also, this will be interesting to see on Fives' screen. It looks like the Infinity D got canceled out. Oh, no, it's back. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it was
it swapped the icons. Yeah.
As we're seeing this timer on the middle of the screen once more, unfortunately, could we get a refresher on what is the penalty box? What is this timer? I don't remember seeing it in the vanilla game.
Yeah. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah. Sure. So for racing events, especially like this one, while it's not leaderboard legal, when we see it again, while it is certainly not leaderboard legal, even for the modded categories, we include a special little death defiance called Infinity D, where depending on the event, we'll change the number, but it effectively gives you an infinitely respawning death defiance, so that your run can keep on going with just a small bit of a penalty, to make sure that the races don't just abruptly end, as we certainly had in previous events where a death has just resulted in. Yep, sorry, that was a call for Too Fast to Canada, maybe.
Not yet.
And yeah, so it allows a little like racing safety. And here we are on the Eris Rail. Certainly the most popular rail aspect, and so probably. And yeah, at this point, probably still the most popular overall aspect to be played in Hades speedrunning. It's a very consistent, good weapon. It kind of, comparatively to other aspects, when you stay in the special's blast radius, which includes if it's a rocket bomb, you got to be close to the enemies. You get a 75. Oh, I'm playing all the numbers hard today.
75 is right.
Percent damage buff to everything. Which
that's global
is a
damage.
lot of damage.
Also, speaking of damage, we see.
Scintillating Feast over Epic Sheltered.
I have a bit of insider knowledge going into this race. Both of these runners, because of how strong Eris is, they wanted to show off a bit of some less common strategies that you can find on the weapon. Because global damage applies to everything, it's global. They're going to look to work in some alternate cast strategies into their build. For example, on FireSafetySuperman screen here, you see him taking Dio cast, which DunkinDio is normally known for taking. Kind of ironic how that works out. It deals a massive chunk of damage, and with Zeus and Dionysus's duo boon, Scintillating Feast, it deals, whenever the cloud is persisting from that cast, it deals constant jolts of damage, instead of just being a one-and-done burst.
I know that also having the Mistral Dash as well from Demeter does, I believe, still open them up for Ice Swine, because I don't think they conflict. I think you can have them both simultaneously. Yeah.
You are correct, and that's the build that Superman's going for.
Yeah.
Whereas I believe Dio...
all of those... Sorry?
I was going to say, I believe Dio is planning on going for Hunting Blades, especially finding this Artemis special. But it remains to be seen. We'll have to see what the next god Dio finds is.
Did pass up an Athena cast, which with Lightning Phalanx can be a bit of a fun one, but understandably that wants to experiment with some Hunting Blades.
For those who didn't see Hunting Blades earlier, if we do see it, we're going to be in for another treat. Also, for those who missed the Hestia matchup earlier, you see both runners starting with this first hammer rocket bomb. This turns your special from a lobbed grenade into a faster, much more high damage rocket. And there's a secondary hammer you can get called Cluster Bomb, which instead of launching one projectile, it normally launches 5, but at lower damage, negative 30% each. But the way Rocket Bomb is coded, it overwrites that damage reduction, so you just have 5 full damage, high speed, like fast-moving projectiles, and are able to deal massive bursts of damage if you're able to find it. We'll see both runners looking for that, and we'll check back in on that once we reach Elysium.
Ooh, and we have a very good chance of seeing Icewind from Superman here. Having the yarn from the well. Ariadne, thank you for checking the inventory for me there. Increases the rarity of the next boon you find, which does provide him the extra rarity boost to find that Icewind. Which Icewind turns that like typically slow lob of the Dionysus class into a bit of a faster, like throwing out and being a little bit more icy, which comparatively it is a lot faster and does still the same damage. I believe even a little bit more. And paired up with Scintillating Feast, paired up with Scintillating Feast still applies that lightning bolt in the middle. And even they're finding the Demeter and Zeus duo boon Cold Fusion, which typically jolted, that debuff I talked about, that when an enemy attacks, it does a jolt of damage to them. Typically that goes away the moment they attack. Cold Fusion gives it instead a timer, so that any time spent attacking means that they're constantly getting that damage buff without having you to reapply it. If Superman is on high forced overtime, which I don't know if he is based on his heat level, but he could just have low tight deadline. Hard to tell.
I think it's low tight deadline, but I'm not certain.
Yeah. Obviously, the faster that the enemies are able to attack with that heat option, the faster they're able to apply Jolted, which is certainly another reason why we take that. Although typically you don't take a lot of Demeter, especially don't take Cold Fusion.
But it is fun to see these less taken. Yeah, it's fun to see these less taken boons being given a little bit of spotlight here, and it goes to show just how strong the Eris Rail actually is. Although Zeus attack is almost necessary on Eris Rail to really synergize with it and keep it going at a fast pace, you can pretty much select any other boons you want. For example, DunkinDio, you'll see here, has Artemis Special, which gives a bit of a crit chance for like slightly increased damage, while Superman here is rocking Aphrodite Special, which is just flat plus damage.
And typically on Eris, you do also want to see the Poseidon Dash, which we do see from Dio here, whereas Superman opted to take the Mistral Dash instead to be able to unlock those duo boons that he so wanted. Did check the Purging Well, which does make me think that he probably wanted to hopefully sell the Dash and maybe try to find a bit of a late Poseidon Dash, which would have been useful. And we do see the Hyper Delivery
Dio finding Rush Delivery.
Well. Yeah, did pick up a Hyper Sprint earlier on, so that's going to help some of the deficit he's behind.
Yeah, though he's almost closed this gap. It's only a boss fight separating the two. Dio giving an excellent showing here. I believe, so this is Dio's second competitive race debut. Previously showed up in one of the side tussles, one of the side competitions for one of the Hyper Delivery tournaments. But this is his first time on the big stage. Likewise with FireSafetySuperman. Both of them kind of known for being Eris main, running a lot of any heat on both of the weapons. FireSafetySuperman also has shown up in a couple other tournaments on commentary. Once confidently said that Chiron was a human in a trivia question in Hyper Delivery 4.
I do believe, I believe, wasn't he running during, I thought he was running during that he made that.
Was he running during that?
regardless of whether or not he was running or not, he did confidently answer a trivia question saying that Chiron, the known centaur, was in fact the only human out of the list of names given, which we all love a good chuckle out of that.
Yeah,
Dio
both of these
also
on their
does
home
provide-
turf with. Just one last point. Both of these runners are on their home turf with the Eris Rail. Although it is one of the most comfortable weapons, at a high level, it is very hard to push towards the sub 6 times, like you'll see out of some of the more cast-effect builds. So it's wonderful to see them showing this at this old staple of Hades speedrunning on the main stage here.
In such style too, like I'm just I don't want to bring too much away from the action, but the shades on DunkinDio, the literal fire behind the shirt is like, guys looking pretty good.
Oh, we find Clockus from Dio.
Ooh.
Yeah, both runners looking fresh, most definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. And we still see Superman with that 2.5 chamber lead in the later half of Elysium here. The later half of Elysium can really just turn around a run, especially in a race like this. Like, if the right combination of rooms and immediately finding the hunting blades from Deer.
We got hunting blades.
We got there in the end. From the forced forced Ares cast in starting in Elysium to immediately getting the and I believe already having Mirage Shot as well from Asphodel, so those hunting blades are already doubled up. Unfortunately, not the broken double up that we see from
like
Bayer, but
yeah,
still not just as strong, still very strong.
Absolutely. Yeah, so for those who missed the Achilles, some of the runs earlier, Hunting Blades is a duo boon between Artemis and Ares, which causes your Rift cast to track the enemy much, much faster and stays locked onto enemies for much, much longer. Especially with a global damage buff of 75% from every time you get hit with your special, even though it does no damage to yourself, those Rifts are doing massive damage for the entirety of this race.
And I think coupled with that just a bit. Sorry, here you go.
I was gonna say, coupled with the damage you're getting out of Clockets, coupled with hyper delivery, the combo based on your move speed, Dio is ripping through this and has almost closed the gap entirely. Just the boss phase splitting the two here.
Yeah, getting both a 33 skip into a pretty armor heavy 34, certainly helping close that gap. Picking up a common Jolson right as he enters the hero's fight. A little bit late than when you'd like to see it, but sometimes Zeus does not cooperate, and better late than never. There are plenty of Eris runs in the world that did not either saw a million Zeus and still did not get jolted offered, and it will not be the last. But still a very tight, close race.
Absolutely.
And as we're heading into the next area here, we do have another question from chat, and that is, what heat level are we currently playing on?
So Superman is running at 10, and Dio is running at 15. Exactly what heat options is a little hard to determine exactly.
I'm going to take a guess.
Common ones, yeah.
I think Superman, so both of them are going to be running Extreme Measures 2, Forced Overtime 2. And I think the difference is the tight deadline heat they're running at, which as long as you have 1 point in it, it doesn't really matter. Tight deadline removes the survival room that you sometimes see from Tartarus, which is an inherent RTA time loss. You don't want any room taking 45 seconds. Beside, maybe the boss fight at the end. You've also got Extreme Measures 2, which it increases the variety that you can see from the Furies fight with Extreme Measures 1. Extreme Measures 2 is the reason we run it in Hades speedrunning. It tightens the grouping of the heads in the Lernian Hydra fight, Although it makes the fight a bit more risky because there's more lava and more attacks coming at you, it makes it much, much quicker to finish off the fight with how tightly they're grouped for more AoE damage. Finally, Forced Overtime increases the move speed, attack speed, and most importantly, summon speed that enemies come at you with. That way, you're able to clear chambers much, much faster on average.
And the level of Forced Overtime can largely depend on the weapon as well as the compatibility of the runner. As I can kind of also see from chat, Museus himself has usually takes FO2, but being the race environment and his famous "we safe" mentality did drop down to the FO1, and I think also agreeing with him that that certainly did work out in his favor. Having the enemies be attacking you 20% less, while maybe slightly slower, is definitely a lot safer and definitely lost him a lot fewer DDs and allowed him to play a lot more aggressive himself.
Absolutely. And now we see the slight difference in builds going here. I believe Dio's almost entirely closed the gap and overtaken FireSafetySuperman with the end of this first phase of the Hades Dad fight, clearing out both 3 bubbles with immaculate precision with these clocket bursts. Shredding through the fight. There's so many sources of damage coming out from both of them, but Dio's sources just have that slight edge with the more orthodox Eris build, and finishing the fight out. Getting teased slightly by the DD there, but finishing the fight out at 1443 RTA, catching up massively and giving his team that advantage, which might just be enough to win. See what we can see what happens with the rest of Too Fast to Canada's lineup here as we enter the second half of the ROwO replay.
Super, excellent.